जितना खाना देते हो ये क्वांटिटी तय कर दो और उतना ही रखो जिसमें एक आदमी खा सके। यदि किसी को ज्यादा की जरूरत होगी तो 1% और मंगा लेगा। अन्न की बर्बादी बहुत होती है, जबकि हमारे बहुत लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको 2 पेट खाना क्या कहते हैं कि नसीब नहीं होता है।
When we spoke to restaurateurs, of course, they weren't very happy with this proposal. They say that if standardized, it could have serious repercussions to the hospitality industry.
It just makes your menu very cumbersome. Listing the portion size or the amount of the ingredient in the dish is not going to have any impact at all on wastage of food.
Portioning will be very difficult to do, in a sense that I like to have a bigger portion of meal, so somebody else may be having a little lesser portion of meals.
जो ऑर्डर रहता है वो ऑर्डर के हिसाब से हम लोग उसको चीज़ देते हैं, फूड आइटम देते हैं। वो फूड आइटम में उसको जितना मांगता है वो खाएगा, और समझो कोई कुछ बच गया तो हम लोग क्या है, हमारा प्रोसीजर है कि जाते टाइम उसको पैक करके उसको ही दे देना।
Well, that's our debate tonight this evening, and I want to invite you as a viewer to join the debate, because one more time, interestingly, the government is talking about what you eat and what you drink, and whether or not you need some sort of regulatory involvement in making sure that you're not wasting your food. But it does make us all feel like 4-year-olds who are not responsible about what we're eating and whether or not we're going to waste our food. But here's the thing, let's put the facts down. The minister has said very clearly that every restaurant must specify on the menu how many pieces will arrive in every plate, so that if someone can only eat 2 idlis at a time, he isn't served 4, in which case he will waste 2, and that leads to food wastage. Now, there are several questions we have to ask in reaction to this. Personally, my view is this. As Indians, we came up with 1 by 2. We split and share everything. We hardly ever waste any food. And more often than not, if we order more than we actually can eat, we tend to pack that, parcel it, and take it home as serves for your next meal. Is it true really that the maximum food wastage that happens in our country is happening on our plates in restaurants? Or is the government distracting us one more time from the real issues? To answer the questions this evening, in the studio with me, Dilip Datwani, Vice President of the Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association in India. Ashish Sadnani is the Founder, Director of OPA Hospitality. Celebrity chef Rahul Akerkar joins us in the studio as well, the founder of Indigo. Shrishti Jain is the Strategy Head of Communications and Partnerships for an NGO called Feed India. RB Shivkumar is a social activist who's worked very hard to ensure that food does not go to waste and it actually reaches the mouths of hungry people. Yogesh Verma, spokesperson of the BJP representing the government, and Aditya Mayekar is a citizen who brings in young India's point of view. I want to welcome everyone to this conversation. We'll do a round of opening arguments here, and then we'll start the debate. And also for anyone watching at home, pick up the phone and call us, and we want to know what you think. I will start with Yogesh Verma, who represents the BJP. Yogesh Verma ji, explain to us, what is this new regulation the government is proposing?
गवर्नमेंट ने सबसे पहली बात है कोई रेगुलेशन प्रपोज नहीं किया। गवर्नमेंट एक ही बात कह रही है, यानी गवर्नमेंट मतलब रामविलास जी ने जो अपने राय व्यक्त की है, मिनिस्टर ने अपनी राय व्यक्त की है। सबसे पहले उन्होंने सोचा है कि जो हमारे देश में बहुत सारा फूड वेस्ट होता है वो वेस्टेज को कम किया जाए। समझो आज मैं किसी रेस्टोरेंट में जाता हूँ और मुझे अगर 1 रोटी चाहिए, अगर वो 2 आ जाती है, कहीं सब्जी ज़्यादा चाहिए, तो कोई भी वेस्ट ना करे, जब ठीक ठाक ढंग से, यानी फूड की वेस्टेज नहीं होनी चाहिए। जिस देश में इतने बड़े पैमाने पर गरीब है,
तो ऐसा रिसर्च किया हुआ है मिस्टर पासवान?
नहीं, मेरी बात तो सुनी ना। तो उन्होंने एकदम सिंपल बात की, इसमें कोई बहुत ज्यादा बहस करने वाला, या उन्होंने किसको ये नहीं कहा कि तुम 1 ही रोटी खा सकते हो, आधा ही दाल पी सकते हो, तुम चाय 1 ही बार पी सकते हो, पानी 1 ही ग्लास पी सकते हो। उन्होंने ऐसा कहीं भी नहीं कहा है। इसको टोटल नेगेटिव लेकर के उस नेगेटिविटी से शुरू करना ये ठीक नहीं है। सबसे पहले उन्होंने कहा कि फूड की वेस्टेज मत करिए। नंबर 1, आपको ऐसा लगता है कि उन्होंने ये कहा है तो ऐसा गलत किया है? उन्होंने ये कहा है कि अगर आप
हम तो नेगेटिव नहीं जा रहे, योगेश वर्मा जी, हम नेगेटिव नहीं जा रहे, हम डिबेट कर रहे हैं। डिबेटिंग इन अ डेमोक्रेसी इज वेरी हेल्दी थिंग,
बहुत जरूरी है, और उसमें आपके सारे डिबेट्स तो बहुत पॉजिटिव होते हैं। और आप कंटिन्यूस हर विषय को फॉलो अप करके उसको कंक्लूजन तक लाते हैं। ये इस चैनल की और आपकी एक बहुत अच्छी बात है, ये ऐसा मेरा मानना है। तो एक पक्ष ये भी है, उन्होंने सिंपल बात कही है, कोई रेगुलेशन की बात नहीं है, किसी भी किस्म का मनाही नहीं है। सबसे पहली बात किसी भी किस्म से लोगों को ये अच्छा लग रहा है तो ये आप मत खाओ और ये खाओ, ऐसा मत करो वैसा मत करो, ये भी नहीं है।
तो आप जानते हो, can you say for sure Yogesh Verma,
मत करिए,
can you say for sure Yogesh
गरीबों को बांट दीजिए।
एक मिनट सर, can you say for sure Yogesh Verma, because this morning's report in most of the newspapers said the government is mulling a regulation, the government is considering bringing in a regulation. आपका मानना है कि ऐसा कोई रेगुलेशन बिल्कुल नहीं आएगा? आप पक्का बोल सकते हैं?
एकदम मैं बोल रहा हूँ, बिल्कुल मैं गारंटी के साथ बोल रहा हूँ, ऐसा किसी किस्म का रेगुलेशन नहीं है। जो उनकी सोच है, यानी हम तो आंखों से, हम तो सामने देख रहे हैं ना। उन्होंने जो कहा, उन्होंने इंपॉर्टेंट बात की कि जो फूड की वेस्टेज है, देश में इतने सारे गरीब है जिनको एक वक्त का खाना नहीं मिलता है, ऐसे समय पे ऐसा कोई व्यक्ति जो ढेर सारा फूड को वेस्ट करे, वो नहीं होना चाहिए। इतना ही इस बात का, बहुत सारे शब्दों का एक सिंगल लाइनर जो ये है कि इस फूड का वेस्टेज मत करिए, आप उसके ऊपर एक रिव्यू कीजिए। उन्होंने यही कहा है, जिसको वापस की जरूरत है तो फिर मंगा लेगा, बट एक साथ ढेर सारा उसके सामने रख दो। जैसे कई सारे ऐसे भी रेस्टोरेंट है जहाँ पर 56 भोग, जहाँ पर ये, और फिर लोग वहाँ पर जाते हैं।
So I understand what you're saying. Absolutely food की वेस्टेज नहीं होनी चाहिए। क्या आपको पता है कि हमारे देश में कितना फूड की वेस्टेज होती है? मिस्टर योगेश वर्मा, 40,000 tons of food grains spoil in our country over 2 years. 1 million tons of onions rot in our country every year. 2.2 million tons of tomatoes rot in our country every year. 5 million eggs either crack or rot before they reach their customers every year. 58,000 crore rupees worth of food is wasted in India every year. 21 million tons of wheat is rotting every year. ये हमारे रेस्टोरेंट की प्लेट्स में रॉटिंग नहीं हो रहे सर, ये फार्मलैंड और कस्टमर के बीच का जो चेन है और गोडाउन की वजह से, क्योंकि हमारे पास गोडाउन्स नहीं होते, हमारे पास ट्रक नहीं होते, ट्रक में रेफ्रिजरेशन, इसको कोल्ड चेनिंग बोलते हैं। हमारे देश में कोल्ड चेनिंग नहीं है, तो जितना मतलब हमारा टमाटर, जितना हमारा आलू और प्याज निकलता है, खराब हो जाता है। दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। तो आप लोग इस पे ध्यान क्यों नहीं दे रहे?
देखिए, मैं वापस एक बात कह रहा हूँ कि कोई भी विषय को, अब उन्होंने कहा कि आप फूड वेस्ट मत कीजिए, और आप ये कह रहे हैं कि गोडाउनों में वेस्ट मत कीजिए।
मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि गोडाउन में वेस्ट मत कीजिए, मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि आप गोडाउन बना दीजिए, ये गवर्नमेंट का काम है।
जो मिसमैनेजमेंट, मैं आपको बात बता रहा हूँ, 400 नए गोडाउन्स आ रहे हैं डिफरेंट स्टेट्स में।
कब आएंगे?
जितने भी FCI है वो नए गोडाउन्स भी बना रहे हैं, नए कोल्ड स्टोरेज के परमिशन दे रहे हैं।
टाइमलाइन क्या है?
देखिए
Sir, did you know that as of this year,
वो हम ये करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और ये बहुत जल्दी हो जाएगा, और ये बहुत जल्दी हो जाएगा।
As of this year, only 10% of the food that is produced in India is in cold storage. 10% of the food that is produced in India is actually cold chained, and this is according to IIM Kolkata. 90% of the food has no go down and no cold chaining. That is the problem. That needs immediate government attention. वो छोड़ के आप लोग अभी रेस्टोरेंट की प्लेट के साइज पे चर्चा कर रहे हैं।
देखिए, अभी मैं एक बहुत जिम्मेदार पदाधिकारी होने के नाते मैं आपको एक बात बता रहा हूँ।
हाँ, बताइए।
कि इन्हीं कोल्ड स्टोरेजेस का उपयोग होर्डिंग्स के लिए भी फिर होता है। आपको ये भी बात सोचनी चाहिए। मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि देश में जो कमी है वो कमी पूरी होगी, और वो कमी जल्दी से जल्दी पूरी होगी। कोल्ड स्टोरेजेस की कमी हो, फूड के सेफ्टी की कमी हो, ये सब चीजें, लेकिन उसका इस बात से कहना,
let's get everybody else's voices in. Let's get everybody else's voices in. Dilip Datwani, where do you stand on the minister's suggestion?
I think his suggestion is very good, no doubt about it. There shouldn't be any wastage of food. But directly putting it on the restaurants that we are wasting food, I'm sorry. In our restaurants, no food is wasted. It's zero wastage. Anything remains back, people take it back. Okay, they take it, we parcel and give it to them. And today, people are more responsible. They know exactly how much they want to eat. आपने जैसे बोला 2 रोटी मंगाता है, अगर एक चाहिए, सर वो रोटी एक ही मंगाता है, उसको वापस रोटी चाहिए, he calls for another one, and which we give it. Okay, so the question of wasting food in the restaurants is totally misnomer. It doesn't happen at all. Even if in the hotels, if some food is excess, it goes to shelters, it goes to people who give it. The NGOs are there. We send it there, and it's used for feeding the poor.
All right, Rahul Akerkar, what happens to a restaurant when you have to specify everything on the menu?
Well, you're basically killing creativity, aren't you? In a way, how do you decide what goes into a dish? I mean, are these to be standardized recipes? Are they to be standard portion sizes? I may choose, because of the style of my operation, to serve large portions because I want to encourage sharing. So am I not allowed to run the business in the way that I choose to do it?
No, but I think the government's suggestion here, Rahul, is that if you're serving a large portion in the interest of sharing, then say 20 pieces meant to be shared by ideally 4 people.
How much information are we going to put on the menu? I mean, today it's this. Tomorrow they'll say, well, for those that are concerned about aluminum poisoning because of the pots and pans used, you need to specify what kinds of pots and pans you're going to cook with also on the menu.
But
so, I mean, you know,
already.
Where does it end?
No, but Rahul, they have that already, fine. That they're controlling, okay. But now the point is this, you know, when you're talking about wastage of food, what happens is, when the order is taken, our person definitely informs the guest, look, this is the portion which will be enough for 2 people.
Sure.
Okay? That you are informed much in advance. If somebody is ordering extra, they'll say, sir, zyada ho jayega. You know, you don't order so much. We are responsible. So this is...
But you're making blanket statements. You won't... I mean, we can't be sure that everybody is going to be responsible, that nobody wastes food at all. But the question is, what is the percentage of food that's getting wasted at the restaurants right now?
Can I just add to this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, at the end of the day, running a restaurant is a business, and we are concerned with the cost of our food, which is a big item head on the P&L. Any wastage affects our bottom line, and if you have high wastages, you are running an inefficient kitchen. So I think a self-policing in terms of all restaurateurs basically managing their own kitchens and managing their own portion sizes to be most efficient and to be most profitable is a sort of self-taking care of system. You don't need to be told that you can't serve 4 prawns, that you can only serve 3. You know what I'm saying?
No, but just to be fair, I don't think the minister is saying you can't serve 4. He insists that you specify on the menu that you're going to serve 4. But let's bring in the other side of the argument. RV Shivkumar is a social activist in Bangalore who's been working very hard to ensure that we don't waste food. Mr. Shivkumar, where do you stand on the government's suggestion?
Okay, madam.
Okay, Mr. Shivkumar can't hear me. I'm going to go over to Shrishti Jain. Shrishti Jain, I have the same question for you. Where do you stand on the government suggestion?
So I think let's just take a step back here and understand what he really said. He did not say that specify each and every ingredient on the menu. He did not say, you know, tell your secret recipe. He just said specify how much food that this will serve. So you order, you know, according to your judgment. You order being aware about what's coming to you. Just making sure that you're not wasting anything or you're not leaving anything behind, which we feel like. I'm coming from an organization called Feeding India, which was, you know, the need for it to be born was because there's a lot of gap between the supply and the demand. India consumes a lot of food which, you know, produces a lot of food which we can't consume. And at the same time, we're topping the world hunger list. So clearly, we're not giving the food to the people who really, really need it. And at the same time, I agree with the gentleman here who said that, you know, a lot of restaurants are donating the extra food, which is really good. But a law like this really just is a step towards the government, you know, the government making sure that they're doing something about the problem, which is really needed. And if you look at a lot of countries like France or Germany who have similar laws, and this is not something against the restaurant business or the F&B industry.
All right, no, so let's just point out, I'm glad you brought that up, that France and UK have similar laws, but they're not exactly similar. What France says is that supermarkets should not throw away unsold food. They should give it away to charity. Germany has a system called Too Good for the Bin, where they make sure that food is not thrown away by either supermarkets or by restaurants. Scotland has a system called Good to Go, where customers are offered parcels or doggy bags of leftover food. None of this in any way specifies the portions that are going to be served. Now, again, I want to ask you this question, Shrishti Jain. When you say, and you're very right, that we waste nearly half the food that we produce in this country, and our farmers work so hard for, they rot. Sometimes at markets, they rot on the streets in a country that's always either too hot or too wet. Our food is exposed to the sky and is going bad. Do you really believe that this is the step that the government needed to take?
I think you're completely right about the facts that you're saying, that the food is wasted before it reaches the place of the consumers. That is a reality, and the government definitely needs to do something to address that, be it building more cold storages or doing something about the supply chain. But at the same time, this is also a problem that we cannot ignore. There is a lot of food wasted at restaurants, be it corporate cafeterias, canteens, even weddings. And this food is perfectly good quality to be served to people in need. So directly, the government is not saying that, hey, kill your creativity or don't let all the information out. It's just a minor change, and this would only help. I believe it's a one step towards a hunger-free and a waste-free India.
It's a step towards. Ashish Sadnani, do you agree? It's a minor change, and it's one step towards a country that doesn't go hungry. And I want to point out here, for the benefit of our viewers, 20 million Indian citizens go to bed hungry every night. 20 million people in our country do not get the food that they need, and that's a shocking statistic. Is this the step we need to take? Ashish Sadnani.
Honestly, I think what the government is trying to do is obviously curb wastage of food and make sure that there is enough food on the plate for every citizen in this country, even for the underprivileged. But putting that initiative purely and saying restaurants or people in the F&B space need to look into that and you need to measure your food, I think that is wrong. I mean, you're putting it, you're like making us look like the bad guys, like as if we are forcing down food in customers' place. Like, listen, you have to order so much food, which we aren't doing really. Yes, I mean, the food that is left over is taken away by a lot of clients, and they take it home. Some decide to give it away to charity. I mean,
what happens at the end of the day, Ashish Sadnani, after the day is over, after service is done? What happens to the leftover food?
We honestly donate the entire food to charity. We tie up with NGOs. We tie up with any local body that wants to come pick up the food. We give it away the very night itself in bags. And that's what we do with the wastage that we
What
have
happens to the food that's left over in plates? Let's assume someone only ate half of what they ordered. What happens to the rest of it?
As rightly pointed out by Mr. Dilip Datwani earlier, that when someone is ordering food, we tell them how much is enough for a table of 4. Somebody could eat 1 roti, someone could eat 3 rotis. So most of the times, I don't think there is so much food left, unless, the order taker is not doing his job right. But whatever is left, consumers take it back with them, but not much is left, as I would say.
Not much is left. I want to
I would like to add something here.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so do you think this practice of the waiter or the people in the restaurants telling the consumers about how much the quantity of the food is, be it 2 rotis or enough for 20 people, do you think this practice is followed in each and every restaurant or each and F&B outlet? Because I don't think so. And if you think this is not followed, then why a step like this about mentioning the quantity of the food is not appreciated? Like, it is in no way harming the industry or harming the restaurants. It is just a one step towards, just making sure that the consumers are more aware.
Ms. Jain, it's very easy to make rules like that. You start measuring how much food is. It is not one item we are making. We serve so many items. You want us to start weighing each and every portion and tell you how much is the weight of these?
No, so actually explain to us. If it is just on your menu, write down the number of pieces. So there is a prawn, something or the other, and you write down 6 pieces of prawns in this.
That's easily done. That's easily done.
But explain to us why you believe that this is going to be detrimental to business.
Now tell me, how do I tell how much is the vegetable going to weigh after preparing it? Or are we supposed to weigh everything and then put it and make it? What are we going to do? And it's not just one item. It's a restaurant. People are there. So many people are there. They want service. They want it fast.
How does it help if you say you have 180 grams of chicken on the plate? Then the next thing is somebody's going to come in and say, well, I'd like to actually weigh it. Do I really have 180 grams of chicken? And if I don't, then I'm not going to pay the $400 price on it.
There are 6 pieces of chicken in this plate, not specifying the weight.
Well,
exactly.
You're just opening a door every time you try and pass legislation like this.
No, Rahul, then what happens is weights and measures comes in.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the
point. That's the point.
For all you know, next time somebody comes and says, listen, I want 100 grams of risotto and 10 grams of bacon on it and maybe 5 grams of sprinkled parmesan. Are we going to do that?
No, but I don't think that, I mean, so Yogesh Verma, that's an interesting point. I want to bring in Aditya here because he's the young voice. Aditya, you were shaking your head. Do you believe that this is a small move that restaurateurs should just embrace at this point?
Well, I would like to start off with Mr. Vilas Paswani has never commented
Mr. Paswan, yes.
It's a regulation he has suggested, and it had come from Man Ki Baat by Mr. Narendra Modi of last Sunday. So it's just a suggestion, and he's asking for input from hoteliers that how we should work out to this. When we talk about waste food which goes to NGOs, if we are so concerned about NGOs, why don't we regularize something onto the quantity of it? No one is asking hoteliers to get onto on a micro level wherein you could just weigh on a milligram or a kg or something like that. It's just like, I mean, I go to X restaurant, I get a bowl of rice which is more than enough for me. If I go to a Y restaurant, I get a bowl of rice which is not enough for me. So why don't we regularize that?
Here's my question. Here's my question, Aditya. When you get a bowl of rice that is more than enough for you, and there's some leftover, what do you do with what's left over?
Leftover, I would definitely take home. But
you take home.
My question is, half of the times I don't eat that because I'm full stomach. I mean, next morning I definitely would not like to have that. So might as well. Why don't we order?
Okay, so you've taken it home. What do you do with it once you take it home?
I might as well feed to my dog, or maybe I give it to someone. But again,
so it's not getting wasted. So either your dog has eaten it,
correct,
or
but
somebody
I'm giving
else
the waste food, right? I'm giving him the waste food. Why don't we regularize on a rice on that bowl, on the size of bowl? He is not being precise that you need to give this much of rice, you need to give this many pieces of chicken, or maybe prawns or something like that.
Now you are being precise that the rice portion should be somewhere it is small.
I'm definitely not trying to be precise.
Try to understand.
I'm trying to understand.
Your appetite is small. I do not know that. Do I keep a meter now?
Definitely no one knows his appetite is how much. Right?
Yeah, that's what.
So right now what we are trying to say is, or maybe Mr. Paswan, what he tried to say is, let's come out with something which will help us to save some food and give it to a poor people who's hungry. And Faye, you just made a comment about food which has been wasted or rotten down. So these are the two things. That's a raw food, and this is a made food. So raw food getting wasted is kind of it's part and parcel of the game. Yes, we all know.
It's so much worse.
We all know there are some
but
drawbacks.
raw food getting wasted is not parcel. I'll tell you why.
I disagree.
Because a farmer works really hard to grow that food, and when his food spoils, hang on. You brought up a point.
No, let me just complete. Let me just complete. As Mr. Verma correctly said, that we are working on it.
That's not good enough. I'm sorry.
Why we are not adding?
No. Okay, let me explain this to you. Yogesh Verma ji, I'll come to you. 1 second, sir. Do you know that most of the children, 9 out of the 10 children in our country, are malnourished? That lakhs of babies in our country die every year because they do not get enough food. The solution to that problem is not in how many idlis Shiv Sagar serves on its plate. The solution to that problem is in the fact that Punjab is growing enough wheat to feed us all, but it is not reaching the poor people of Bihar. It is not reaching the poor people of Andhra. That food is rotting on the way. And that has been a problem in this country. I will accept, for the benefit of Mr. Yogesh Verma, I will accept it has been a problem in our country for decades. And government after government has not solved that problem. So my point here tonight is very simply this. Do not distract me with gimmicky regulations and suggestions about how you are going to one more time regulate what I eat, what I drink, where I go, where I party. Get to work and do your job. And your job is to ensure that children and babies do not go to sleep hungry, that children and babies get the food that they need, and we're growing the food. Between India and China, we're wasting 1.3 billion tons of food every year. There are 1.3 billion people in this country. Just get the food to the right place. That is your job. This is not your job. If you're going to now create a committee and get a bunch of restaurateurs together and decide what a bowl of rice should be and should not be, you are wasting more taxpayer time. And that is not okay. It is not okay. It is not part and parcel of the system, and it's not okay to put up with it for one more year. More babies will die. How is this okay? Yogesh Verma, please now go ahead.
मुझे लगता है कि आप एकदम एक्सट्रीम में चले गए। विषय कौन सा है और आप कौन सा विषय पे चले गए? अभी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ना, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, सुनिए ना, मैं भी फूड वेस्टेज अभी मैं जो बता रहा हूँ, समझो हम 2 लोग हैं और हमने होटल में जाकर के एक बिरयानी का ऑर्डर किया, तो इतना बड़ा बाउल आता है, उसमें 2 लोग खाते हैं। समझो एक ही व्यक्ति वहां पे चला गया तो उसके सामने भी उतने बड़ा बोल आ जाता है। अभी कुछ दिनों पहले सुनिए ना, अभी कुछ दिनों पहले एक सुनिए ना, पूरी बात सुनिए। अभी कुछ दिनों पहले एक चर्चा चली थी कि आप हाफ प्लेट राइस दीजिए, आप वो भी उसको करिए। कई सारे रेस्टोरेंट्स के अंदर अगर आप कहेंगे कि आप हाफ प्लेट राइस सर्व करते हैं क्या, बोलते हैं नहीं करते। एक व्यक्ति को अगर खाना हो और वो इतनी सारी बिरयानी मंगा लेता है, फिर उसमें से 2 चम्मच इतना मसाला ये सब चीजें रहती है, टेस्टी रहता है, लेकिन वो कोई बहुत खा नहीं सकता है। तो इतना सारा जो राइस पूरे दिन भर में अगर 300-400 लोगों ने खाया एक रेस्टोरेंट में, और अकेला व्यक्ति ने खाया, और इतने सारा राइस अगर उसका बच जाता है, तो ये वेस्टेज है कि नहीं है? आपको तो ठीक है, सरकार की कई सारी चीजों की कमी है, योगेश वर्मा, ये चीजों को ठीक करना चाहिए।
आपके पास आंकड़े हैं,
ठीक करना चाहिए।
आपके पास आंकड़े हैं, मेरे पास आंकड़े हैं। I know how much food is getting wasted because of the lack of cold chaining. Does your government know how much?
किस चीज की वजह से आप किस चीज को रोकेंगे?
आप लोग रिसर्च नहीं करते तो फिर हम चर्चा किस बात की?
हम लोग भी पूरा करके करते हैं।
तो बोल दीजिए ना, मुझे
बोल रहा हूं उसका तो आप जवाब नहीं दे रहे। अगर 100 लोगों ने इस प्रकार का इतना सारा राइस अगर इस बोल में छोड़ दिया,
मैं बोल रही हूं
तो दिन भर का कितना सारा राइस छोड़ दिया?
योगेश वर्मा, ये योगेश वर्मा जी, एक मिनट, आप सुन नहीं रहे। Now, एक मिनट, my point is, I say people don't waste food. वो जो बोल में वो बचा है वो पार्सल करके घर लेके जाते हैं। आप कैसे करेंगे?
आपने जो बोला आंकड़े इसके कुछ नहीं होते, इसके आंकड़े किसी ने सर्वे नहीं लगाया है कि कौन दिन भर आकर के कितना सारा खाएगा। ये आंकड़े जो है, देखिए मैं इस बात से, आपकी बात से सहमति नहीं हूँ, जरा भी सहमत नहीं हूँ। आप एक अच्छे कॉज को, मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा सा आपको और विशेष ध्यान करने की जरूरत है। आप कौन से चीज को FCI के साथ जोड़ रहे हैं? 2 अलग विषय है। एक विषय ये है कि जो खाना तैयार हो गया वो वेस्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, सिंपल बात है। इसमें भी असहमति, इसमें से भी असहमति। इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका इससे कोई मतलब नहीं है। बना हुआ खाना जो है, बना हुआ खाना वो वेस्ट नहीं होना चाहिए।
राज्यों को आप खाना खिला सकते हैं।
हाँ, तो बना हुआ खाने को वेस्ट नहीं होना चाहिए। अब इसमें भी आपको तकलीफ है तो फिर इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं?
आप सुन नहीं रहे हो।
देखिए आंकड़े आप लोग, अभी विषय क्या चल रहा है? एक मिनट, रामविलास पासवान जी का जो विषय चल रहा है वो इसके ऊपर चल रहा है। आप सीधा अलग विषय के ऊपर लेके जा रहे हैं, तो फिर हम उसी विषय के ऊपर बात करते हैं। फिर ये
let me go now to RB शिवकुमार। RB शिवकुमार, आप बताइए, आपके ओपिनियन में जो फूड वेस्टेज हो रही है,
सबसे पहले मैं इस बारे में बात करूंगा। सबसे पहले मैं इस देश का प्रधानमंत्री को प्रणाम दूंगा। पहले उधर सब जो बैठा हुआ है वो सबको मेरा प्रणाम है। देखिए, हम लोग अभी सोचना बैठा है क्या वेस्ट हो रहा है, क्यों वेस्ट हो रहा है, ये सोचना वक्त में हम बात करना है तो ठीक ठाक से चर्चा होना है। अभी क्या रेस्टोरेंट में ऐसा ये सब काम चल रहा है, ऐसा वेस्ट हो रहा है, सब लोग बात कर रहा है। देखिए 100 रेस्टोरेंट, 1000 रेस्टोरेंट मिले तो एक शादी का घर होता है। एक रेस्टोरेंट में एक दिन का कम से कम 100 आदमी का, 50 आदमी का वेस्ट हो सकता है। फिर एक शादी में एक्सेस होकर वेस्ट होता है तो 2000-3000 आदमी को वेस्ट हो रहा है। मैं 16 साल से मैं काम करके आ रहा हूँ। इधर जो बेंगलुरु में खाना बचता है वो लेके आके मैं खुद बात आ रहा हूँ रेलवे स्टेशन, बस स्टैंड, गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल का सामने। ये क्या हो रहा है? अभी वेस्ट सब लोग नहीं कर रहा है, आम आदमी में वेस्ट ज्यादा नहीं कर रहा है। अभी जो वेस्ट हो रहा है कौन कर रहा है वो सोचना पड़ता है पहले। देखिए आप लोग सब पॉलिटिकल लोग हैं, अब बड़ा लोग काम करता है तो इधर देखिए बेंगलुरु पैलेस में एक शादी होता है तो उधर 2000 आदमी खाना खाता है तो 5000 आदमी का खाना बनाता है उधर। एवरी डे मैं देख रहा हूं, वो कौन कर रहा है?
Okay, let me. Okay, so RB Shivkumar, I get your point. I get your point. I understand the point, but my argument right now is simply this. Mr. Ramvilas Paswan made a statement in his capacity as the food union minister of this country. No statement made by a union minister should be taken lightly. My question is this: before making the statement, was the matter examined? Does the government have enough data to tell us how many people in this country are wasting food off their restaurant plates? Is India really a country where a family of 5 orders 5 dishes and leaves half of it on the table? No. If India is the kind of country that has lavish weddings and throws food away, do we have statistics? Come to us with statistics. Let's actually talk about the real issue.
I would like to add something. This is a distraction.
One second. This is a distraction from farmer suicides. This is a distraction from hungry children. This is a distraction from malnourishment. We have statistics, very clear statistics of that for decades.
come to us with statistics without the numbers. Making open-ended statements just causes confusion. Shrishti Jain, you wanted to come in. Please go ahead.
Yes. When you're talking about statistics, for example, an organization like Feeding India, so what we do is we channelize, we pick up extra food from restaurants, majorly, weddings and corporate offices, and we're able to serve on a daily basis 16,000 people every day.
Yes.
So if you think about it, there is food for extra food, I might add, for 16,000 people just from restaurants and corporates. So there is, and this is a statistic that we have.
And I applaud the work that you are doing, Shrishti Jain.
But Ms. Jain, it's not going wasted.
Exactly.
The poor people are being fed out of it.
I'm not talking about.
And you are volunteering. You got 450 volunteers doing it. You're doing a great job. And thank you for it.
सोचा हुआ तो जो अच्छा है, फिर सोचना तो एक बार क्या है,
food that is extra.
वो रेस्टोरेंट में कौन बचता है, कोई सोच के बचाता नहीं. रेस्टोरेंट में कैसा ये रूल्स रख सकता है? रेस्टोरेंट में अभी हम हमारा बच्चा, हमारा बीवी जाता है तो उस टाइम में बैठा होता है, उस टाइम में कुछ होता है तो थोड़ा एक्सेस हो जाता है. वो एक्सेस होने का वो कोई गलत नहीं है. रेस्टोरेंट का ऊपर छोड़ दीजिए, आपका जो सोचा होता है अच्छा है, सब फंक्शन में डाल दीजिए. वो बहुत ग्रैंड कौन फंक्शन बनाने वाला है उसको टैक्स 200% बढ़ा दीजिए. अभी आपको हाथ जोड़ के मैं बात कर रहा हूं, पहले आप मत बोलिए हमारा इंडिया में इतना आदमी भूखा है. हम क्यों सारे दुनिया को चील के बोल सकता है, क्यों बोलना है हमारा इंडिया में इतना आदमी भूखा है? हमारा अंदर की बात है, अंदर बात करेंगे हम लोग.
Well, there are very good points being made right now, and I'm just going to get a rebut to the points that are being made from the restaurateurs on the panel, Rahul. So here's the thing. Shrishti said very rightfully that she picks up, that the NGO that she runs picks up the food that's left over at the end of the day from restaurants and distributes it among the poor. 16,000 people are fed every night. Thank you, Shrishti, for the work that you're doing. And I know that Mr. Shivkumar also does similar work. He picks up food from wedding halls that is left over and distributes it among the poor. Now, we should encourage more of this. But will the regulation or will the suggestion being made by the minister right now encourage more of this behavior? Rahul?
How? I just don't see how mentioning portion size on your menu is going to in any way affect the amount of wastage or not, or the amount of consumption that happens in a restaurant. I mean, I think the onus of wastage, if you look at it from that point of view, is really on the consumer. On the consumer. If the consumer comes in and orders 6 plates or something because you're 8 people at the table and then wastes half of it, how can a restaurant be held responsible for that? Or be made.
The job or responsibility?
No, one second. You know what?
If we talk about solutions,
can I just say something?
Compulsory doggy bag. Be that solution where the restaurant compulsorily doggy bags the food for you?
Yeah, but wait a minute. There is a little problem with that also. Is that, and I can tell you when in the old days when we first set up Indigo, there was an NGO. Unfortunately, I don't remember its name. That came around to us and said, you know, at the end of the night, exactly what's happening now, that can we collect all your leftover food and we are going to distribute it to the poor. I said, fantastic. Yes. And I think the Taj signed up for it. There were many restaurants in the Kolaba area that signed up for it. Until about a month or so later when we got served legal notice saying that we were poisoning people. And what we discovered in those days, what we discovered in those days is that the NGO was, when they picked up the wasted food at the end of the night, or the leftover food at the end of the night, was not storing it properly or hygienically, was holding on to it for way longer than it should have been, was not distributing it correctly.
Fast enough, yeah.
And so we all stopped doing it for fear of being prosecuted for food poisoning, which really had nothing to do with us at all. There is something I'd like to say also. There was a few years ago a restaurant, I think it was in London, I'm not sure, that operated at lunch on a buffet system, and they had a thing where the buffet cost whatever it did pounds, and they said if you eat as much as you want, if you waste, we charge you double.
In Germany.
Oh, okay, well, fine. There it was. So, and you know that to me is a great way of telling a consumer don't waste. But it's got nothing to do with the restaurant writing a portion size down on its menu.
Okay, let me bring in some voices right now. We have people who've called in. Tony is called in from Thane. Tony, go ahead.
Evening, Faye.
Yes, Tony.
I heard a suggestion on the show that we should have a law for not wasting food. But
Yes.
it is so ridiculous that in this country, we have got so many laws, but how strong is the implementation? And you know how good the government is in implementing the laws. And we want more laws to come in. And we have enough on our plate now with all this restrictions coming from restrict on this, restrict on that, food, eat, whatever it is. I think the Bharatiya Janata Party should be called the banning Janata Party now, because everything seems to be a ban now.
All right, Rekha is on the phone line from Mumbai. Rekha, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, hi. I feel the government should just focus on, how you can do cold storage of fruits and veggies which are getting wasted. Focus where your attention needs to go. Trying to restrict what a person is going to eat in the restaurant or not, I think the Indian citizens know what to do. I think it's the government who needs to get their act together now.
Deepak from Mumbai? Okay, Deepak's not on right now. I want to just bring this up at this point. Dilip Datwani, restaurants have a lot of regulations. You have various licenses that you have to have. There are a lot of regulations on how you have to function. Here's one more possible regulation about your menu cards. What does this invite when you function every day?
It invites more inspections, prosecutions. Weights and measures will come and say, oh, let's weigh now, how much are you going to give? FSSI will come in and say, okay, what is the weight you're giving? So there are so many regulations we'll have to follow. One more will come in now. We are already under pressure. I think, I don't know, this government wants us to operate here or close down shop. What is it? So many regulations, and then on top of it, nothing. Whatever happens, it's put on us, the hospitality. Look at this year. You sell a bottle of water, what the small shop is selling at 20 rupees, you have to sell it at 20 rupees. What about my investment? Where do I take it out from? If everything I'm going to sell on MRP. So these are the regulations which are impractical. Have some practical solutions, please.
Ashish Sadnani?
Well, I think this has not been a very good year for hospitality. Every now and then we like the soft target. Something or others keep, it's been thrown at us.
The only target.
The only target, actually,
That's
rightly
true.
said. I mean, we are like, if nothing else, let's go bulldoze the guys in hospitality. I mean, we're also giving a lot of people jobs, right? We're also helping people. What is the entertainment in the city? You either go to a movie or you go to a restaurant. It's not like we have parks to go somewhere and spend a good time. So when people are coming to us, if you're going to start telling us what to eat, what not to eat, I mean, I'm surprised that nobody's put a ban yet that maybe on some days you can't serve meat altogether. I mean,
Please don't propose it.
Yogesh Verma, iska jawab de dijiye. We've had a few people who called also earlier saying that
we also had fat tax.
Yes, we also talked about fat tax. Yogesh Verma, आजकल ban बहुत हो रहा है चीजें.
अभी आपको ऐसा लग रहा है?
नहीं, obviously लग रहा है, इसलिए मैं बोल रही हूँ.
एक क्या है, इस देश में एक वर्ग है. अगर हम जरा भी गौ मांस के बारे में बात करेंगे या गायों के स्लॉटर के बारे में बात करेंगे तो सब लोग इकट्ठा होकर के और वो बदनाम करने की साजिश करेंगे. कुछ लोग इस देश में बोले कुत्ते को मत मारो, सांपों को मत मारो, ऊंट की गाड़ी मत चलाओ, घोड़े मत चलाओ, लेकिन गाय को काटो
नहीं
और गाय का मांस खाओ. आप उसको जस्टिफाई करती हैं. आप उसको जस्टिफाई कर, आप काउ स्लॉटर को जस्टिफाई करती हैं.
नहीं, काउ स्लॉटर तो इलीगल है. इलीगल तो इलीगल नहीं.
आप उसको जस्टिफाई करती हैं.
जस्टिफाई क्यों करूं?
तो अगर आप जस्टिफाई नहीं कर रहे, आप
नहीं, let's not get derailed. One second.
आप एक तो चाहते हैं कि नहीं.
To our viewers, let me point out, Mr. Yogesh Verma is doing one more time an excellent tactic of distracting.
ये टैक्टिस है, आपका कोई टैक्टिस नहीं है. ये टैक्टिस है. आप मानते हैं कि स्लॉटरिंग इलीगल है, लेकिन आप चाहते हैं कि लोग खाएं.
मैंने कब कहा?
इस देश में कुछ एक ऐसा है जो इस देश के लोगों को सेंटिमेंट को समझना नहीं, उसको छेड़ना चाहते हैं.
आप
इस देश में गाय,
4 इडली और 3 इडली का सेंटिमेंट किसका है?
इन 3 लोगों को आप हम लोग के लिए बख्श दो. अगर आप चाहेंगी कि रेस्टोरेंट का विषय को निकाल करके और काउ स्लॉटरिंग के लिए आप आ जाएंगे और इस देश के लोग गौ मांस खाएं, तो ये होने वाला नहीं है.
आपने बोला,
ये चलने वाला भी नहीं है. लोगों ने बहुत बर्दाश्त किया.
ठीक है,
लेकिन आप रेस्टोरेंट के ऊपर अभी फूड पोर्शन से सीधा चलते बैनिंग के ऊपर, मुझे मालूम था ये आने वाला है. ये क्यों चलाते हैं और ये क्यों करते हैं? आप छेड़ना चाहते हैं, आप किसी और चीज को रोकना नहीं चाहते. आप इसको रोकना, इसके लिए ही सारा विषय चलता है।
बात बताइए योगेश वर्मा,
इसके लिए ही सारा विषय चलता है। आप एक और मानते हैं कि काउ स्लॉटर जो है ये गलत है, और आप ये चाहते हैं कि ये लोग खाएं।
आप शांत हो जाइए।
अभी किसी ने कहा भारतीय जनता पार्टी से पार्टी ऑफ बैन, दे वांटेड टू ईट काउ।
अरे
ये इस गाय को खाना चाहते हैं जो इस देश के अंदर बसी हुई है।
योगेश वर्मा,
ऐसा लगता है
योगेश वर्मा काम डाउन, योगेश वर्मा काम डाउन। आप फिर से डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं।
मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट नहीं कर रहा हूं।
You did not like it when I talked about how many people. You did not like it when I talked about how many people are hungry. You did not like it when I talked about how many malnourished children there are in this country. You did not like it when I talked about. You did. Alcohol पे बैन आया। मध्य प्रदेश कह रही है कि अल्कोहल को पूरा ड्राई स्टेट करेंगे मध्य प्रदेश में। छत्तीसगढ़ कह रहे हैं कि छत्तीसगढ़ को पूरा ड्राई स्टेट करेंगे।
गाय नहीं कटेगी, किसी कीमत पर नहीं कटेगी। कल तक अगर बीफ का एक्सपोर्ट होता होगा तो चलता, तो वो आज नहीं होने वाला है। इस देश में गाय,
योगेश वर्मा,
गंगा और राम, इसका
मान लिया।
आपको इस देश के 80 करोड़ लोगों के सेंटिमेंट्स का रिस्पेक्ट करना पड़ेगा।
मान लिया। अभी बताइए मुझे 67 million tons of food goes wasted in India every year. India wastes enough food to feed the whole of Bihar every year. Value of food that is wasted in our country is 92,000 crore rupees. 1 million tons of onions rot every year before they reach the market. 2.2 million tons of tomatoes rot every year before they reach the market. 5 million eggs rot every year before they reach the market. I'll read some more. 21 million tons of wheat rot every year before they reach the market. 58,000 crore rupees worth of wheat is wasted every year. India has 20 crore citizens who sleep hungry every night. Only 10% of our food is actually cold stored and finds its way into godowns. Here is the problem I'm asking you about.
इस प्रॉब्लम की बात से मैं सहमत हूं।
जवाब दीजिए फिर। जवाब दीजिए फिर मुझे।
इसका गाय के मांस से क्या लेना देना?
आपने बोला।
इससे क्या लेना देना? आपने कहा पार्टियों में अब आप क्या क्या चीजें बैन करेंगे?
You brought it up.
आपने ये आपके बातें से मैं सहमत हूं ना। मैं सहमत हूं। और ये सब चीजें जो है इसका सॉल्यूशन आएगा। हम लोग उसके ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं।
No.
हम लोग सब चीजों पे काम कर रहे हैं। हम
show me evidence.
इस देश में किसानों को पानी देने पे के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं।
काम क्या कर रहे हैं?
इतने सारे कोल्ड स्टोरेज आप
अखबार देखिए। आपने कितने गोडाउन बनाए?
कितने सारे फूड कॉर्पोरेशन के गोडाउन बन रहे हैं?
मुझे आंकड़े दे दीजिए। गिव मी एविडेंस। Where is the evidence?
इस देश में
हम कर रहे हैं, हम बना रहे, हो जाएगा, हम बढ़ रहे हैं। None of that is good enough anymore.
कोई टेक्नोलॉजी दे दीजिए जो मैं 2 दिन में करके बता दूं। आप ही मुझे कोई टेक्नोलॉजी सजेस्ट कर दीजिए, मैं कल ही कर दूंगा। कोई काम अपने कोर्स से होगा ना। आप ये सारी चर्चाएं करके आप कौन से विषय को बाहर ला रहे हैं? कई सारे लोग इसके अंदर घूम करके अभी एक ने कहा बीजेपी बैन की पार्टी है, तो आओ मेरे साथ में चर्चा करो।
Dilip Datwani, is there technology available right now to actually cold chain and save food from going bad? Is that technology available anywhere in the world at all, Dilip Datwani?
It's very much available, but you know,
Can it be acquired over the course of 3 years? Can I buy cold chain trucks from the rest of the world if you give me 3 years?
3 years is a long time.
How much time does it take?
I think it should be done available within a month max.
Within a month, we can buy the trucks if we want to within a month.
Yes.
Rocket science.
Yeah.
The cold. We can save all the rotten vegetables. Let's give it 5 months extra to process because it's government and it takes some red tape. 6 months? A year?
Yeah, max.
We could have done this in a year.
Yes.
Rahul Akerkar, could we have set up the godowns in 3 years?
I don't see why not, and I know it was like tried earlier on too by a lot of people in the private sector.
Yes. Yeah.
Which exists.
Yeah. Let me in fact ask Shrishti Jain here. Shrishti Jain, can we save the rotting vegetables by acquiring the cold chaining process? And I know there are Indian companies. Let's not even distract again from that. Indian companies who are creating the technology that is available in India. You don't even have to go out for it.
Yep.
Can it be done in 3 years' time, Shrishti Jain?
Definitely, and I agree with you when you say it is the majority of the food is wasted before and during the cycle when it reaches the restaurants on the where it's used. Yep.
So it is possible to do in 3 years. We have the technology, we have the ability, we have the money, we have the food, we have the hungry people. What are we missing? Aditya, do you want to take a stab at that question?
Well, I would say it's a process. I mean, you really just can't, as Mr. Verma correctly said, you cannot expect anything or everything to happen in just a
No, I don't expect everything and everything. I want hungry people to get food. It's a very specific request.
Hungry people to get food, and that's what I'm answering. We are talking about raw food getting wasted. I agree to it, and government and the system is working towards it. But you just can't ask people or the government just to answer this question in a day's time, right?
It's their job.
वो मतलब हाँ, it's their job, definitely. But every job comes with a process, right? You just can't expect government out of it.
Okay, no, fair enough.
अभी बैठो, अभी मुझे जवाब.
Very good.
It is not
actually not a problem that we don't know about. I'll tell you why.
One second. No, let me just complete.
So tell me. Okay. No.
Let me just complete.
Very good point. Give me the progress.
It will take some
time. Have we done 10%? Have we done 20%? Have we done 5%? Have we done any work at all?
सृष्टि जैन, हाँ, तो डेटा आपके पास है. सृष्टि जैन ने जैसे बोला 16,000 लोग हैं
काम नहीं हो रहा है,
खा सकते हैं, तो आप उस पे क्यों नहीं वर्कआउट कर रहे हो? एक सिस्टम के पीछे क्यों पड़े हो
आप ये बताइए.
एक सीधी बात बोल दो ना कि ये अभी it is possible, it is achievable if we work together, if the hoteliers work something or the other. See, I'm again and again saying Mr. Paswan has suggested and not regularized. So he's expecting something out of it, that you come together, you work out on it, and you get the results out of it, because you're the best people. Sir, I read one of the articles. Mr. Datwani, let me just complete. I read one of the articles wherein he clearly said that you come up with it, you tell us, and we will work out something. This thing will take some time. As Mr. Verma correctly said, we have just come in.
We have started.
We have just started, and we will get to it.
Who's we? Who's we? आदित्य, who's we?
बीजेपी.
वी मतलब इस देश की पब्लिक, जिसने मोदी जी को वोट किया है.
अच्छा.
उनको विश्वास है.
उनको विश्वास है,
मोदी जी के ऊपर.
आज नहीं तो कल होगा, बट प्रोसेस है, उसको टाइम लगेगा.
कुछ लोगों को बिल्कुल विश्वास नहीं है. आप इतने सारे आंकड़े निकाल के लाए. मुझे लगता है कि मैं तो शायद आपसे बहुत कम पढ़ा लिखा हूं. आप मुझे बात बताइए कि कितने इस देश में काम ही नहीं हो रहा है, उस क्षेत्र में काम ही नहीं हो रहा है. ऐसा आप आंकड़े बताइए कि काम ही नहीं हो रहा है. आप मुझे ये बताइए कि इस देश में अभी कितने टेंडर्स निकले हैं एफसीआई.
बहुत अपसेट हो जाते हैं.
मैं अपसेट नहीं हो रहा हूं. मैं अपसेट बिल्कुल नहीं हो रहा हूं. जरा भी मैं तो
आदित्य,
डिबेट के अंदर अपने पक्ष रख रहा हूं. आप ये भी बताइए कि कितने आपके पास तो अभी गूगल है, अभी बहुत सारी चीजें. आप ये बताइए
तो आपके पास
ऑन प्रोसेस है, कितने टेंडर्स ऑन प्रोसेस है. सब चीजें चल रही है. आपकी जो सोच है वो सही है कि ये होना चाहिए. हम भी सोच रहे हैं. रातों रात नहीं हो सकता. जो हो सकता है इंस्टेंटली जो हो सकता है उसके ऊपर कोशिश कर सकते हैं.
3 सालों में बाकी भी बहुत कुछ हुआ है, और कोल्ड चेनेज प्राइवेट लेवल पे क्विकली करना और गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे क्विकली करना, ये बहुत दोनों चीजें बहुत अलग है.
ओके, लेट मी पॉइंट आउट हियर.
नहीं, बट आपको ये भी पता है कि ये जो स्टैटिस्टिक्स हैं जो अबाउट जो मैम ने बोले अबाउट द अमाउंट ऑफ फूड वेस्टेड, ये एक दिन में नहीं बने, ये बहुत टाइम से बने हुए हैं. तो ऐसा बोलना कि एक दिन में नहीं हो गया, ये हमें आज पता है, ये दिस इज नॉट करेक्ट, बिकॉज ये बहुत टाइम से
नहीं, आप विषय को गलत ले रही हैं. हम ये करना चाहते हैं और हम करेंगे.
कब?
मैडम,
ये होने ही वाला है.
कब?
और ये बहुत जल्दी होने वाला है. अभी आप चाहेंगे कि मैं आज क्या डेट दे दूं, मार्च 31 2018, तो मैं कोई दूसरी पार्टी नहीं हूं कि मैं आपको झूठ बात बोलूं.
ठीक है. Okay. Now my next question.
जब ये डेटा
थोड़ा एक बात
Dilip Datwani.
industry getting hammered?
Why is the F&B industry getting hammered? And Dilip Datwani, when you have a project, let's assume you're setting up a restaurant that's going to take 3 years to finally do. Do you make a plan saying in the first 6 months I'll achieve this much, in the next 6 months I'll achieve this much? All I'm asking for is if Yogesh Verma believes that the government has done enough in cold chaining and saving food, enough to then pay attention to what is happening in restaurants, then where is that data? That data, where is the data? How much have we achieved? Have we done 20%? Have we done 30%? Have we done 5%? Have we done 90%? Are we that much closer to making sure that children don't starve to death in our country? Where is the data? Why do we still make statements saying हम करेंगे, होगा, ये बहुत जल्दी होगा?
आपके पास है ना इतना सारा डेटा.
मैं गवर्नमेंट नहीं हूँ सर.
तो नहीं तो आप ही बताइए ना कि आप देखिए, जब आप आधा ही डेटा ला रही है, मतलब आप आपके काम का डेटा ला रही है. जो लोगों के पास मैसेज पहुंचना चाहिए वो मैसेज आप नहीं दे रहे.
बात करना छोड़िए. मैं वर्मा से
इस तरह से आप वो भी डेटा लाइए, आप दोनों डेटा लाइए कि भाई 400 बनने चाहिए थे, 10 ही बने. आप एटलीस्ट 10 बने, वो तो डेटा लाइए. आपने कहा इतने सारे अभी तो ये तो
शिवकुमार,
इतने बड़े-बड़े जो आंकड़े दिए तो मुझे पता नहीं वो कहां से आए.
शिवकुमार अरे
अभी बात अलग.
Go ahead sir.
ಹೇಳಿ.
Go ahead. What is the point you were making?
वर्मा तो माताडೋದು. ओके.
आप वर्मा जी से क्वेश्चन पूछिए.
वर्मा जी. वर्मा जी
बोलिए.
देखिए, शिवकुमार बात कर रहा हूं मैं. अभी ये क्या ये रूल्स लेने आने को जा रहे हैं ना, अभी रिसर्च किया क्या आप बीजेपी वाले ने? आपको गवर्नमेंट, बीजेपी को छोड़ दीजिए, गवर्नमेंट वाले ने रिसर्च किया क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है?
देखिए, कोई भी विषय
आम आदमी से आप
कोई भी ये उनका देखो. मैं एक बात मानता हूं इस देश में सबको बोलने का अधिकार है। अगर केंद्रीय मंत्री ने कोई विचार रखा है, ये कोई लॉ नहीं बना है, उसने विचार रखा और कहा है कि इसके ऊपर रिसर्च होगी, इस विषय के ऊपर अगर फूड वेस्ट नहीं होता होगा तो खत्म, अगर वेस्ट हो रहा है तो उसके ऊपर उपाय करेंगे। ये सिंपल बात है कि नहीं? एक बात बताइए, उन्होंने कहा ये जो विषय है इट इज सब्जेक्ट टू रिसर्च।
रख रहे वो तरीका ठीक नहीं है। रेस्टोरेंट को क्यों आप टारगेट किए?
नहीं देखिए, आप ही टारगेट देखिए, आप कोई दुश्मन नहीं। इस देश के रेस्टोरेंट जितना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी उससे सहमत है। तो जो उसके अंदर कुछ ना कुछ हर विषय में हमारे में भी कमी होगी, अगर कुछ कमी है उसको हम दोनों मिल करके दूर कर देंगे।
देखिए,
ये सजेशन ऑब्जेक्शन, इट इज सब्जेक्ट टू सजेशन एंड ऑब्जेक्शन।
हम देखिए एक काम, ये बात पूछिए, हम 16 साल से एक काम करके आया है, हम इसके ऊपर बहुत रिसर्च किया हुआ है। आप हम लोग सबको मिलवा दीजिए, क्या करना हम
मिलिए ना, हम दोनों साथ में बैठ करके इसमें कुछ अच्छा रास्ता निकालेंगे। शिव जी, हम इसमें साथ में बैठ करके कुछ अच्छा रास्ता निकालेंगे ना।
Okay, hang on. I have viewers on the phone line right now. एक मिनट, one second. Shivkumar Aure, 1 second. Vivek is on the phone line. Vivek, very quickly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My question is very simple to the panel. Bharatiya Janata Party, to be specific, अगर साहब सुन रहे हैं तो, the approach by the government has been very short-sighted, if I may say, because in every situation, like for example, liquor ban कर दो, 500 इस स्टेट में बंद कर दो, ये खाना मत खाओ, ये मत करो, वो मत करो. I think the approach taken by government
कोर्ट ने बैन किया है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बैन किया है. एक व्यक्ति सुप्रीम कोर्ट गया,
मध्य प्रदेश को ड्राई स्टेट
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको बैन किया है.
मध्य प्रदेश को
गांव में आप देखिए औरतों का आंदोलन देखिए. आपको लिकर की पड़ी है. गांव में महिलाएं देखिए किस प्रकार से जाकर के महिलाओं ने आंदोलन किया है, कितना बड़ा आंदोलन किया है. महाराष्ट्र में चंद्रपुर में आंदोलन चल रहा है.
एक मिनट संजय, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wish to raise a point that what is so political about it? If there's a portion of a dish, particular dish in a restaurant which is getting regulated, what is so wrong about it?
Exactly.
If I go to one restaurant, I get the same amount. If I go to the second restaurant, I get the same amount. If I go with two people, I order a dish, I consume it. If I go alone, then dish becomes very much for me. It becomes extra. I don't have an option of taking half a dish. So what is wrong in it? I just don't understand.
Absolutely right.
Okay, fair enough. Just to answer your question of why is it political, one second, Aditya. Why is it political? It's not. There is no opposition, political opposition party on this panel at all. It is just the restaurateurs who have to implement this suggestion.
If the hoteliers are so right, it's an open invitation. You come with us, you sit with us, you make us understand how do we regulate.
Who's us exactly?
Who's us?
It's Mr. Paswan. He has suggested that why don't you come with us, sit with us, as Mr. Verma also said. Let's take a suggestion out of it. Let's come out with something, and it's not a regulation. He has suggested to it.
I have one more call. Mr. Pereira is on the phone line right now. Very quickly, go ahead.
I just want to know, how are you going to regulate this? First of all, every law that is made ends up in giving more teeth to the corrupt. How are you going to regulate? Is the restaurant going to put people there to stand with a bowl full of this, giving one spoon as the man finishes? If he makes a small portion, that small portion also can be wasted. So, as rightly done, they give it to some NGO, they do it this, that. Or if they got the customer takes it back. How are you going to say what is the right portion? That's what I want to know. Why get into this business which and put more problems onto restaurants? And they are already into a lot of problems themselves. I mean, we should encourage business. We should encourage this. Wastage is it's okay. Don't waste. But how are you going to enforce this? It's only going to give more teeth to the corrupt.
All right. Yes. You want a closing statement? I'll give you a closing.
Well, it's not really a closing statement. It's just statement. It's just the fact that no one here is, I think, advocating not controlling waste. It is a problem and it needs to be addressed. What I think we from the F&B industry are concerned and would like to sort of underscore is that there seems to be a lot of knee-jerking that's happening and statements are made without really thinking about the long-term effects or the outcomes of these statements. And I think it's like throwing a lot of panic into an industry that really provides a a lot of jobs, a lot of revenues to the state and national exchequer, and to make statements like this constantly, I think, quite frankly, are just wrong.
Well, I just want to point out to our viewers one thing. This is not a political channel. We don't track politics on this channel. There isn't anyone from opposition on this panel. The idea is to just discuss things that will impact your life and my life. And when there are children going hungry and dying in this country, I believe it is an issue that we need to discuss. When we are wasting as much food as we are wasting, it is an issue that needs to be discussed. And I give full credit to our Prime Minister and the ministers right now for bringing up this issue so you and I can discuss it. But my point is simply this. We need to solve the real problem. We need to talk about the real issues. And I invite the representatives of the government to come back onto this show with the data. How much have you achieved in cold chaining? How many go-downs have you actually put up in the last 3 years? We're not asking for nirvana. We're asking you for your achievements. Has it been 10%, 15%, 20%, 90%? We would be glad to hear your data. Please bring in that data. When these statements are being made, please back it with data so we understand where you're coming from. We are not going to be distracted by emotions, by religion, by politics. We are only focusing on the issues, and we welcome all opinions. We welcome your opinion. Thanks for watching.